Hello everyone, I am back and today we are building a British new build, which for anyone who doesn't know is basically a newly built home, clues in the name, and they come in all sorts of designs and shapes and sizes, and I'm sure we'll build many on this channel over time. And this one is quite a simple one, quite small, fairly small. I would say, I don't know, it is giving kind of first time buyers kind of home. This is the kind of size I feel like a lot of people I know have bought these types of homes for their first home. And yeah, so it's quite a simple little design. And I would say actually it's a sort of like layout and shape of home which would be a few years old now. I wouldn't say this is like a new build of today because I feel like they're changing very fast. And because I mean, I wouldn't even know, like I don't know how far back do we go and still call a home a new build. But for example, the ones built sort of like early 2000s still were quite, they had a bit more about them, if you know what I mean. So they still kind of, and this was also to do with the fact that they could build with more space. So they had more of a front garden and a bigger back garden, and they weren't all sort of built in such close proximity. So yeah, just had a bit more flair to them. Because I would say one thing about new builds, which kind of to me is how I kind of see them, is that obviously they're not as ornate as older buildings, and that's completely understandable because obviously we're trying to build more with less space and as quick as possible as well because we need more housing. So yeah, so they go up quite quickly. So they're much more, as you can see on this one, it is just very rectangular and yeah, sort of no bay windows or sort of, yeah, just things that make it a bit more stylised. And don't get me wrong, they are quite stylised actually. Now I've just said that. They're stylised in a very different way. They're obviously very modern. And I find a lot of them that are sort of popping up nearer to me at the moment a lot of them are actually 3-story sort of townhouses and have a kind of, like, what do they call it? It's like it's got a fancy name for a garage, basically, where it's a garage that like a drive port or something. I don't know, like, and they, you know, have terraces on top of them, and they have like upstairs terraces. So like if the lounge is on the second floor because the garage is on the ground floor and there's a lounge on top, then you end up having this kind of upstairs terrace area. So yeah, so I mean, like I said, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, depending on who's made them, etc, etc. But this one is, yeah, like I say, very simple. It's open plan inside. It's a layout that I actually saw recently in real life, and I thought, oh, that's kind of fun. It's like, I don't know, I don't tend to build very open plan, so I thought it'd be fun to do that. And I thought let's do it let's do a new build, because I feel like my go-to is building older houses, just because it's more like what I know, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, there's new builds are everywhere, so it's also something to build, right? And one thing, I don't know if you noticed, that actually is what I do like about new builds, especially the ones now. This one, like I say, I feel like is a design that is probably a few years old now, but a lot of them now have like solar panels and yeah, more sort of like greener, you know, like energy, and just the way it's built is trying to be as green as possible as well. Because obviously there's new regulations and things they have to adhere to when building. So yeah, so I put some solar panels on the top because I felt like that kind of, I don't know, like I like that vibe that it would have solar panels, because they can put them on as they build them now, right? Obviously with an older house you have to do that after the fact because the house is very old, but this one they can do it as they go, so it's much easier to do that. Then it can all be linked up and everything. So yeah, I thought that was quite a nice little thing to do. And the style of this home is very show homey. So obviously when you buy a new build, I think you can do this for all of them, I assume. You can kind of choose how it's going to be decorated, like as they're building it. So obviously if you buy one new, like no one else has lived in there before, you can pick how it's going to be. So you can pick your flooring and like tiling, your kitchen options, bathroom options. So yeah, but I felt like this home, like I say, I feel like it's like a couple's first home. I do put a little sort of infant's bedroom in here, so I do think they've had a little baby since, but I feel like this is their first home, and they've kind of just gone for the kind of show homey options. So just white walls, the kind of laminate flooring, and yeah, just very nondescript, if you know what I mean. And I think that is one of the advantages of a new build, and why a lot of people like them, is you can move into them and you don't really need to do any work to them unless you really, really wanted to. Obviously you can put your own stamp on it, but you don't need to be moving any walls around or anything like that, or put in a bathroom that's downstairs, upstairs, or something that you might have to do for an older house, like changing the windows so you have double glazing, things like that. You don't need to worry about that. You can move straight in and not worry about sort of like more structural things. You're gonna have a new boiler or a new oven, so yeah, there is that kind of like element to it, and I really wanted to kind of have that coming through. So the house, like I say, is very clean and modern, and lots of greys, whites, neutrals, and yeah, just very light and airy as well. I think with the open plan design, it really lends itself to being nice and light and airy. And to be honest, this house design, the sort of like shape of it and everything from the exterior, I feel like it would probably be a semi-detached house. But I did just do the one because I just wanted it to kind of be its own little build, because I feel like we'll definitely do other new builds, like I say, like in the future and things, bigger ones, or all different styled ones, more modern ones, perhaps slightly older ones. But yeah, so I thought, let's just do this little one and just see how it goes, because this is very different to how I normally build. I actually find in a way these are like a little bit out of my comfort zone. I think it might sound really weird, but they are they're just a very different style to how I'd normally build. But I like to build a range of things. I like seeing how far you can go, what you can build in The Sims. Even just, and I don't mean obviously you can make some incredible things, right? There's some people out there who make the most incredible things, but I know this is just a little new build house. It's not really, pushing any boundaries, but I don't know, obviously the sort of game is quite, or especially, I'm building here in Newcrest. This is kind of where I tend to just build a lot of my British builds, because it's just kind of a blank canvas, and I feel like just, I don't know, putting loads of British builds there. But obviously The Sims is quite American kind of centralised, so I find it quite interesting seeing can you build all these different types of buildings with it, British homes or just anything really. So it is interesting to see if actually the items we have and just what we have, can we recreate this? And I hope you guys can see it. But yeah, so this is very great. I'm just looking at this now and I'm like, whoa, we really went for grey in here, didn't we? Grey floor, grey cabinets, and grey wall. Very, very grey. But what we will have to do, we should do a new build that's had some, I don't know, a lot of changes to it perhaps, or someone that's opted for a lot of, maybe not the sort of show homey look. That would be quite fun to do as well. Because like I say, there's all sorts now. I've seen some really interesting shapes and interesting roofs, really modern, and just some funky designs out there, which are really fun to do. And one thing actually that I to be honest, this is one of the things that I think about when I think of a new build is I always think they have so many bathrooms. I don't know about you, but like, so this house has 3 bathrooms and it is a 3-bedroom house. So I know obviously one of the bathrooms is just a little cloakroom downstairs, which is just like a toilet basically. But I always think like, whoa, like a 3-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms, that's like a bathroom each. I don't know, that's kind of how I see it in my mind. And I'm like, that's really like luxurious, you know? But I did actually, there is someone I know lives in a new build, which is, it's a 2-bed and that has 3 bathrooms. And I just think, whoa, like there is more bathrooms than bedrooms. Obviously, again, one of the bathrooms is just like a little cloakroom downstairs with just a toilet and a sink. But yeah, I don't know why it's like a good thing, right? Having more bathrooms is always a good thing. But I just think I always think it's funny how many bathrooms they have compared to like how many bedrooms. But yeah, that's just, yeah, I think that's quite funny. And this little room we're working on now is the little sort of nursery, like I said before, which, I mean, I use my grey carpets. I get my grey carpets out again for this build because I feel like that I don't get to use carpets that often. So when I have the opportunity, I whip them out. But yeah, this is still, you can see it's still they haven't repainted. They obviously, perhaps they're not into decorating that much. They're just kind of happy with how it is. They're not that bothered, you know, they're not that fussed about redecorating or anything, but there's sort of some splashes of pink in there. Just add a bit of colour. Because I always think there should be like this. It's always nice to have a bit of colour in a children's room, I always think. And then this is the guest room, which I'm not knowing what to do with this room. I was thinking maybe making it a little office space, but it's quite a big room actually. So I thought it'd be good to still have that kind of guest bedroom. And then I actually thought it'd be quite fun to do is have it as like a dressing room. So I like to think that the couple who live here, one of them is really, really into their clothes and has like loads of them. So actually has all of their clothes stored in this room and has this sort of like little makeup table moment. So if you are a guest coming to stay in this house, then you're basically staying in their dressing room. So yeah, sorry. Might be a bit annoying in the mornings when they come in to get ready and they're still asleep, but I'm sure they work around it. But yeah, so I thought that was quite a nice idea because I see that a lot. I feel like a lot of people have dressing rooms now. Very luxurious, isn't it, to have a room just for your clothes? But I guess if there isn't the space, then it works, right? But yeah, so it does mean that this house doesn't have a desk and computer. You'll see in a minute that I do put a laptop downstairs, like on the kitchen table, which I feel like works for now. But obviously you can change the guest bedroom to be a little office if you wanted it to be, rather than obviously changing room because that's a little bit extra. But yeah, so I mean it's fine. Obviously you've got the laptop downstairs, so you've got that if you need it, but yeah, you can always change it. And then this is the first of the main bathroom, and that's obviously this is the main bathroom that everyone can use. It's just got a bath in it. I opted for, because there is then obviously, so the 3 bathrooms in this house are the little cloakroom downstairs, just the toilet, sink, and then the main family bathroom that we've just done, which just has a bath. And then there is an ensuite off of the master bedroom, which we are working on now. And in there we do put a bath shower. So you still have the option for a shower. But I just wanted to mix up. I didn't want to use like the same. I find when I have multiple bathrooms, like full bathrooms in a build, especially of this style where they probably have chosen the same like suite because they would have been able to do that because it's a new build. I find that I end up using, like, the bathrooms look exactly the same. And although in a way that is realistic, so I feel like that can happen in these type of builds, I don't know, I just wanted to just have a bath, I don't know why, in that one, and then have a bath shower in the other one. So it wasn't the same. But otherwise it's pretty similar. So yeah, so just a bath in that one, but I figured that's fine. Because if they want to shower, they can go in the other bathroom, right? They can just like tiptoe into the master bedroom's ensuite. But yeah, so you will just see I just quickly put the laptop downstairs, then you'll see me. I did try, I was like playing around with maybe having a mini desk somewhere, but it didn't quite fit in. But I mean, there is more than enough space, like I said, in the guest room if you wanted to do that. But yeah, just the laptop for now. And yeah, so you'll see that, yeah, like, so the bathrooms are basically the same. Very grey tiling, but it's just very kind of clean and just all done. So like I said, when they moved in, they didn't have to worry about it. And then we're working on this little garden space, and I'm looking at it now actually, and I'm realising that the garage is huge, isn't it? The garage is really out of proportion. I think I find it hard with garages because if I'm going to put a car inside it or outside of it with a sort of fake garage door, I don't know, I feel like it has to, like, it needs to be kind of pretty wide to look realistic, but then it means the garage ends up really wide. So yeah, so the garage is looking pretty big on the side there to the garden. It's like bigger than the garden, but we'll just kind of pretend it's not quite that big in real life. But yeah, so very simple garden. I find a lot of people opt for kind of having a lot of paving now or decking rather than lots of actual like grass garden itself, because it's easier to maintain. And I also see a lot of people now going for like fake grass, like artificial grass rather than grass, which, I mean, at least then you don't have to cut it all the time, right? So yeah, so I guess that's kind of easy. And I felt like that maybe is what they have here, because you can see it's like really, really, really green grass, like really perfect grass. Or maybe they're just really good at maintaining it, who knows? But yeah, so very small grass area just with a washing line, because I always feel like at British homes have a washing line. But yeah, so other than that, little barbecue area, pretty chill. And then, yes, this is the big garage. You see, it looks really big, doesn't it? It's like really chunky. Oh well. It makes for a good space, to be honest, because I really wanted to put a washing machine on this lot. You'll see I played around with having it in this kind of, I'm going to call it a boiler cupboard upstairs. I think, to be honest, in this kind of house, the boiler would be in the kitchen still, hidden in a cupboard. But yeah, there's kind of like a cupboard upstairs. There's a cupboard under the stairs as well. That's another thing actually about new builds. I find they're quite good at putting in these like cupboards. So like where there's a space that is not used, for example, that sort of like void space where the stairs is, put a cupboard so, you know, you can put your coats in there, hide them away, because there's not necessarily a lot of kind of accessible storage space, if you know what I mean. So there's not really any space for them to have kind of like a big coat rack in, like, for example, the little entryway. So it's good to have that kind of space to chuck your coats and things. But yeah, then I thought just put a little kind of washing machine in here in the garage, because yeah, I couldn't really fit in anywhere else, to be honest. So put it in the garage. I feel like it would be in the kitchen in this kind of house, but I would have it under a counter, but obviously you can't do that in The Sims, so put it in the garage and a little gym in there, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll leave you with some screenshots and see you in the next one. Bye.